That's a good look.
Yes, it is.
And she's like, no. And I'm like, why? That was a good fit.
Now that's great. It's
Really?
That's
A
terrible.
Swashbuckling pirate captain?
I feel like a pirate.
Steve.
Thank you. I didn't even remember that joke. I swear to God. Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst Pictures podcast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me, as always, is my good co-host, Ian.
Me.
And joining us, as per usual, is my other, also good co-host, Mud. How you doing?
I hate you.
What is this show, you might ask? Well, every week, the three of us idiots sit down and review a Best Picture winner over the past 100 or so years and determines one of the best or worst pictures as compared to the other ones. And this week, we're watching the 13th Best Picture winner ever, the hit Alfred Hitchcock film from 1940, Rebecca. And
The
to start us
least
off,
Alfred Hitchcock film.
And to start us off, Mud has collected some fun facts which Ian and I have not heard ahead of time. So, Mud, take it away.
Yep.
All right. So the film was released on March 21st, 1940 in Miami, and then April 12th to the rest of the world. It has an 8.1% out of 10 IMDb score, a 100% Rotten Tomato Critics,
Ooh.
which means it's more favorable than Citizen Kane,
Yep.
Yep, naturally.
and a 92% Rotten Tomatoes audience score and 86% Metacritic.
Oh, that's pretty high.
Yeah, I know. It was directed by, of course, Alfred Hitchcock, who's also known for, I mean, come on. It's Alfred Hitchcock. You know, Psycho, North by Northwest, Rear Window, Vertigo, Dial M for Murder. For fun fact, I just wrote Alfred Hitchcock. Like, this dude was a pioneer. He was the next Frank Capra.
He's considered one of the best of all time.
Exactly. His name should be enough. As for the actors, we have Joanne Fontaine.
Yep.
She was the sister of Olivia de Havilland, who was the cousin that got fucked by her cousin in Gone with the Wind.
Well,
Great!
Yeah, you're welcome. She's also the only actress to ever win an Academy Award for being in a Hitchcock film.
really?
Oh.
Yep, not for this one.
It's
It's for his next film, Suspicion. Next up, we have Laurence Olivier.
Laurence Olivier is one of the people who's been nominated the most times for Best Actor, correct?
He's a legendary actor.
Yep.
He was in Othello with
Yep.
Joanne Fontaine. He was also in Wuthering Heights, which was nominated for Best Picture a couple ago. Spartacus.
Yep.
The Spartacus film. Kirk Douglas.
The Kirk Douglas.
The Kirk Douglas.
He also directed Hamlet, which I believe we'll be watching for this.
I think so as well.
Yeah, 48.
Yes, we
he
will.
was also in it. He was also in A Bridge Too Far, which is a classic war film. The 1984 Mutiny on a Bounty
Yep.
with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. And this is my favorite one. He was in a film we've watched for this channel. 1979's Dracula, A Love Story.
Oh.
He was Van Helsing.
Oh my God.
He's
Wait,
sexy Dracula time.
Who is he in this? Rebecca.
I don't know. I didn't
He's the
write down
main
his
character.
He's the
He's
main guy?
dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dude, that's wild.
Yep.
He's
Okay.
Laurence Olivier. He's one of the most touted actors of all time.
I do want to point out that Hamlet we're watching not only for the show, but this decade in the 40s.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah,
So it's-
48, Mud said.
And
Coming up.
finally, we have Judith Anderson. I think you guys are going to love this. She was in The Ten Commandments,
Okay.
and Then There Were None, and of course, Star Trek III, The Search for Spock.
What
Okay.
the hell?
So as for fun facts about the film itself, this was Hitchcock's first quote-quote American film
Yeah.
being produced and made in Hollywood.
Okay.
Changes had to be made to the plot due to the code, of course.
of course.
Yeah.
I won't disclose what those were because, spoilers.
Okay.
Sure.
Selznick, the producer, who also produced the last film, and Hitchcock famously did not get along on the work for this film. Hitchcock purposefully would sometimes set up shots to ensure that there was no interference during the editing to basically be like, I know you wanted the shot, but we just couldn't get it, so we can't edit it. But Selznick
What a dick.
always heavily involved in his own productions, oversaw editing of the film personally and even called for extensive reshoots after the first assembly.
This is sounding like a DC film right here.
I know.
That's wild.
I know. Two major forces of personality right here.
That's insane.
I'm shocked that it was like a good movie at all in the end, if that's the case, because usually that makes a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And of course, most importantly, this is something I did want to bring up because I do feel like knowing this beforehand will make an interesting watching experience. In the book that Rebecca is based on, there's hints that Rebecca and the character of Mrs. Danvers might be, bumping uglies,
Okay.
or at least have an implied attraction to each other.
Sure.
Yeah, that got fucking cut because it's the 40s and
Okay.
homosexuality is illegal.
Yep. Very illegal.
Yeah. As for the awards itself, This was the first year that the awards were sealed in envelopes to
Oh, so
keep the
interesting.
secret of the winners.
Makes
Cool.
sense. Makes sense.
only
When was
took
it
them
televised? I forget
13. I don't know.
I
I don't
don't
think it's happened yet, though.
Mhm.
I know the next one was partially broadcast on the radio. Rebecca is the last Best Picture winner to not win for either Best Director, Best Writing, or Best Acting category.
when. Okay.
Like ever.
Yeah.
70, 80 years later.
So wait, whoa, okay, hold on, get that straight. So since Rebecca, like after Rebecca,
Every
movies-
film that's won Best Picture has won at least one of those categories.
Damn,
That's
I've never realized that.
insane.
I've never realized that at
But
all.
they're like the big categories. This also marked the year that we split the Best Writing category into original and adapted.
Yep.
Which
And there
I'm,
will be no problems with that
Yeah,
going
Yeah,
forward.
no problems with that ever. Adapted from real life, that's original.
yeah. Look, I agree they should be 2 categories. I don't like their rules for each category.
Yeah.
Agree.
So that's how I feel about that.
Yep.
The Thief of Baghdad was the film that went home with the most awards that night. It wasn't even nominated for Best Picture.
Damn.
What the fuck?
It went home with 3.
It's like an inverse of Grand Hotel where it only won and got nothing else.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better. So it was nominated. This film was nominated for Best Visual Effects, and it lost to The Thief of Baghdad,
Ah,
the real Best Picture winner. Best Film Editing, which it lost to Northwest Mounted Police. Best Art Direction, Black and White, which it lost to Pride and Prejudice.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Best Original Score, which it lost to Pinocchio.
okay.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
Best Screenplay Adapted, which it lost to The Philadelphia Story. Judith Anderson was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, but lost to Jane Darwell for The Grapes of Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Joanne Fontaine was nominated for Best Actress, but she lost to Ginger Rogers for Kitty Foyle.
Okay.
Laurence Olivier was nominated for Best Actor, but he lost to James Stewart for The Philadelphia Story. It won the Best Cinematography category, and it beat 9 other films to do so.
Yep. And it
Damn.
won Best Picture, which it beat how many other films to do so?
I know. It also won Best Picture, beating All This and Heaven 2. Or no, I think that was one film. All This and Heaven 2. Foreign Correspondent, The Grapes of Wrath, The Great Dictator, Kitty Foyle, The Letter, The Long Voyage Home, Our Town, and Philadelphia Stories.
I've seen one of those movies. It is
Yeah.
The Great Dictator.
It was also the last film released by Selznick's production company.
Yep.
And finally, our Mary Pickford fact.
Yes.
Her real name is Gladys Mary Smith.
That's not Pickford at all.
That's
I know.
not Mary Pickford.
Damn.
I know.
Unfortunate.
I'm hurt.
I'm hurt too.
too, bro.
That sucks.
So, do you guys think this is gonna be better or worse than The Great Dictator?
I'm excited. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm
Oh, you
excited
haven't
for
seen-
this
okay.
movie.
Am
I
I
have
the only one who's seen all of it?
I've seen the clip.
The clip, yeah.
I've seen 3 Hitchcocks. I've seen Psycho, Rear Window, and Vertigo, and they all are great. Like they're not even just good; they're
I've
fantastic.
seen 2, 1.
I have seen one. I've seen North by Northwest, and that film is the pinnacle of it just ends syndrome.
Really?
It
That's so
straight
funny.
up just fucking ends. Like, I cannot. It's like the 93rd Academy Awards. It just ends.
Ah.
And the Oscar goes to Anthony Hopkins. Good night.
Yep.
He is not here. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Fuck off. Well, we're gonna find out just how well it holds up right now. So we just watched the hit film Rebecca. I gotta preface this off the top that we all did not like this movie.
This movie
Wow,
sucks.
it was so bad.
Who wants to take point?
I think
Yes.
Ian deserves to take point.
Okay, I want to point out 3 main factors of why this is a bad movie. A, the soundtrack never stops.
It doesn't.
Not once. It's never fitting. It's always during dialogue. It somewhat a couple times it just stops and cuts out and then continues again.
It's always so loud that you notice when it's not there.
Yep. It's so fucking loud, obnoxious, annoying, not fitting, and over the dialogue. 2, the dialogue. It is super cliche and bad and poorly written. And 3, our main character, who doesn't even have a name, by the way, is the worst character we've seen in a Best Picture movie yet. Like, as not a racial stereotype character.
I was about to
would
say that's definitely not true because
Like-
there's been some shit.
She makes Scarlet from Gone with the Wind redeemable in her like, I understand why Scarlet does what she does. I don't agree with it. I think she's a bitch. That being said, I at least understand the harshness and the coldness. I do not understand anything nameless main character does.
There's a full 5-minute sequence in this film where she goes full Mila Kunis in Jupiter Ascending, all of her dialogue is questions.
Yep.
Like just exposition.
Thanks
dumb.
for those fucking flashbacks to that
Yeah, you
movie.
remember Jupiter
There's
Ascending, bro?
so much exposition. Do you remember the opening of the movie where it was just dialogue over the burnt house
It's
and
like a
exposition?
3-minute log take
Yup.
of her explaining, like, by the way, what she's talking about is the tragedy of how they lost their house. It's an afterthought in this film.
Yep.
To kind of get into it, because I would not give it a 0.
We've been into it.
I'm
We've
not
been
giving it
into
a
it.
0.
I want to talk about things I liked because I feel like it's shorter.
Okay.
Both of our leads are strong.
No.
Nope.
Fuck you guys. Lawrence Olivier is acting his fucking ass off.
Nope.
He's doing
I
great.
thought he was whelming.
He was whelming.
great. He was
and-
so good. He's one of the only good parts about the movie.
I
too.
thought he was whelming.
Not at all.
I don't think either of them did a good job. I think they both actors in a film.
All right, well, we're gonna have to disagree there because I think they were the only like all redeemable parts was that the acting was actually
Nothing.
good.
No.
I thought Laurence Olivier would be a lot better, and I was very, very whelmed. I was expecting Clark Gable.
There was no scene.
Almost,
yeah.
yeah.
There's no Clark Gable scene where I'm
Yep.
like, oh my god, he just killed this monologue, this speech.
Yep.
He has like a 10-minute long confession, and he just delivers it in the most monotone, flat way. He's just like,
I
"And then I
disagree. In
stabbed
fact,
her."
I would disagree to the reverse criticism direction where I think he was way too over the top with that.
He was so
He like stood around and acted it out and like whisked his arms and roped around the set. It's like why?
Visually, yes, he did do too much, but I agree with Mud's point where the only time he ever talked that wasn't in the same tone was, and then I did that, and it was like, ugh, stop.
it was contradicted by the way he was moving. Like he wasn't sitting down and like having a haunting, reflective moment where he was
Yep.
like, and then I killed her, like looking off into like the middle distance, like trying to come to terms with what he was saying. He's like dancing around the set, and he's like, and then I killed her.
I think that's also the script is bad. The
Script's
is
fucking
dog
terrible.
shit, yeah.
I got a lot to say about the script.
Honestly, and
what it just got brought up. The twist ends up being explained by Laurence Olivier for 10 minutes.
yes,
Oh
and
my
then,
God!
and then the other dude explains the twist again for 5 more minutes.
The last 40 minutes of this film is just explaining the twist over and over and over
And the
again.
twist isn't good.
Oh, so on that note,
Yeah, hit us. I'm ready.
in the book, Maxim just shoots Rebecca.
Really?
He killed her.
Oh.
But because of the code
Yep.
and marital killing can't go unpunished,
Yep.
they changed it to an accident that Rebecca provoked him into.
Holy
Also,
shit.
fun fact, still a bad twist.
No, but think about it. That makes so much more sense. That would have improved the movie.
She didn't have cancer in the book.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
She
yeah.
was pregnant.
Dude, that would have made so
Maxim chose to kill her.
all of the groundwork for something like that, building to that point, is here in the movie with all of their strained relationship, the fact that she's not faithful in the like all of this stuff could have built to something like that.
I think it was too much tell for it to be fantastic.
I'm not saying it would
would've-
be fantastic.
It would have made the movie maybe a point higher.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the direction they went made so little sense because it doesn't fit with the story. You know, they wouldn't have set up oh, yeah, she fell and hit her head. That's literally the description.
Yep.
Like, oh, yeah, she fell, hit her head during an argument, unrelated to him doing anything, and then she died, and he covered it up.
Oh no, I'm sorry. She did have cancer in the book. My
Oh, okay.
apologies. It was just the big change was
Right.
Maxim actively kills her in
And
the book.
one of the things that we were talking about, why does Maxim care so much about a death that he didn't cause? He could just be honest to the cops about it.
Seriously, like he's like they'd never believe me, and it's like I hate that excuse in these movies
Because they would.
because they would. There's literally no one to challenge your word on this,
Yep.
And you know what?
and
You know-
like crimes of passion are a thing.
Yep. Can we talk about more stuff we liked? I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
I'm looking through my notes.
Okay, so there's a lot of weird dialogue issues. Like that scene with the flowers. You can see her mouth behind the flowers and she's like smiling and all happy. And then she talks and she's still just smiling and all happy. That happens 4 times. It is ridiculous. It happens twice with her, once with Laurence Olivier's character, and once with Ben.
other guy.
Ben, the dumb guy.
Oh yeah, the halfwit.
Yep. It happens so many times, and it's like this film won Best Picture for what?
I don't know. It only won for
I found another. I think it's honestly my last positive.
I think it's a positive.
It's the only thing here that isn't negative. There is some creative lighting in the scenes that aren't rear projected.
Okay.
Almost every other scene.
I want to talk. Can I talk about rear projection? I gotta
Yeah,
get
of
into
course.
it. You know I gotta get into
there was
it.
an excessive amount of rear projection.
Excessive. So okay, there are scenes where they rear projected a forest as they walk by. Why did they rear project a forest? Why didn't they shoot in a forest? It would have looked like a forest. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have
instead of
looked
a rear
bad.
projection.
And
Yeah.
also, and driving in old-timey movies is just hilarious in general. But the guy in the driver's seat is always violently turning the wheel back and forth, even
Yep.
though the car is going in a direct straight line. So the rear projection is just misaligned with what's happening. And at a later scene, when they're driving, the projection footage is being played back way too fast, and it looks like he's going 200 miles an hour
He
around a
goes
turn.
around a corner, and it looks like he's gonna like Tokyo drift that.
It's so bad.
It's
Oh
so
my God.
funny.
And you know what? To go on your point of like stupid little things that aren't really that big of an issue, but are an issue. Every phone call in this movie is pick up the phone. Oh yeah, hang up. No one has any time to talk.
There's to be more specific. There's a scene where Mrs. De Winter, the main character, picks up the phone that was ringing in the study of Rebecca, the dead first Mrs. De Winter, and she picks up the phone, and the second it touches her ear,
No, Miss Winter's been dead for a year. Sorry, and then hangs up.
yeah, immediate. Like whoever was on the other side did not talk.
Nope.
And can we talk about how useless the like 20-minute intro to this film is? It's supposed to set up the romance between Maxim and Mrs. De Winter, and it's like how she met him while she was like working for this other woman at the Monte Carlo, and they spent like every day together because the woman was sick, and then he asks her to marry him, and then they get married and leave, and it's like, this didn't need to be in the fucking
It makes it
movie.
worse because their relationship's bad the
Yeah.
whole time.
Like, at least if it starts with their newlyweds, you don't have to show us them getting together because the film establishes, hey, they got married.
Okay, so you can infer a relationship. The relationship they showed, man and woman on screen, I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, fun fact, it did the Grand Hotel thing of, oh, I'm in the hotel and I fell in love with the person in the but
I'm
worse.
only a stenographer or whatever
Worse.
the fuck.
Infinitely worse. Why is every movie just Grand Hotel but worse or better?
Well,
I'm so fucking angry.
Mad Max Fury Road, way better version of Grand Hotel.
It's Grand Hotel but better.
that is technically a way to look at movies, I guess.
This movie did the Grand Hotel thing, but speed ran it in 20 minutes and made it infinitely more shitty.
I want to talk about the things that were brought up a little bit.
Okay.
You guys know my gripe with movies based on books, how screenwriters will use a very lazy storytelling tool of narration. Lots and lots of narration, because instead of adapting it visually for a visual medium of movies, you just write it out as a character just saying something. Any movie that drones on with lazy narration for several minutes to start the movie should not feel bad when I tune it out, because it is your fault for not conveying the information in a more interesting way.
Dude, a lot of this movie is tell, don't tell.
Yep.
It's all tell.
Literally, like that's one. All book adaptations for some reason do this.
The very beginning has like 3 minutes of narration is what you're talking about.
Yep.
The best part is that narration is her talking about how she lost the home, Manderley, the estate. By the way, I want to click Manderley in this film, Tar in the last film. I'm fucking sick and tired of houses with names in these movies. All right? I'm fucking over it. No more. She's talking about how it's like, oh, last night I dreamt I was in Manderley again, which is like the most famous line from this project. At the very end of the movie, Mrs. Danvers just burns the fucking house down.
Good.
Has nothing to do with anything.
No,
Nothing.
and you know what? She's one of the worst characters in the movie too.
Oh yeah, she's like obsessed with Mrs. Danvers is like obsessed with Rebecca.
Yep.
And it's like they definitely fucking grinded clams or something. But like they don't ever give anything beyond that. She's just like, I'm mad she died. And then like you learn about who Rebecca was, and it's like, man, she was
Not a good person.
not a good person.
Yeah.
But it's weird because Mrs. Danvers also seems like she's obsessed with like serving Maxim. But like his wife was a whore.
Couple things about that. The end of the movie was the end of Ghost of Frankenstein,
Yes,
Yep.
I said the same thing.
which was footage reused for House of Dracula of Frankenstein burning, or the things burning down. Frankenstein's inside, and the ceiling just falls on him and he dies.
Yep.
That's literally what Danvers did at the
Yeah.
end.
Yep.
But I think more so to the point, a massive flaw with the story of the movie is that we never get to see Rebecca. The entire movie takes place long after Rebecca, not long, but like
A year.
significantly after Rebecca's death. And the last hour is this weird prolonged exposition dump about her life and death. And I'd care a hell of a lot more if I'd actually got introduced to her at any point in the story.
Everyone talks about how she was this great woman, and then like Maxim's like, actually, that was all a charade, and she was a hooker and shit.
Because we have no context because we've never met her.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
And then he's like, and then like they get into the argument, and then like very end of the movie, this other fucking guy who I think was actually one of like her many like gentlemen
It was
callers.
the dude she was pregnant by. And you know what? Nothing is relatable. It's all, oh, I'm having so much trouble pretending to be rich. What the? Shut the fuck up.
That's the first 45 minutes of this film.
And then the next part's pretending to be Rebecca.
It changes. Like the plot changes
Yeah.
to being about like what happened to Rebecca, but the first 45 minutes is like her trying to get used to having
Yeah.
servants. What a crazy life.
And you know what? No, in the last hour and 15 minutes, you can't even attribute it to the first hour and the first 45. Because her and Danvers, the whole thing is, oh, you're just trying to replace Rebecca for the next hour. And she's just saying that with no evidence, no anything. She's not trying because we're watching her. And it's just bullshit garbage dialogue that's just here.
And because it's a fucking 40s movie, they can't be like, oh yeah, Rebecca and Mrs. Danvers used to fuck. And like Danvers was in love with Rebecca. That would have been motivation.
Yes. And the thing is, too, that I have that you told me about the lesbian undertones in the book. And I wrote down, Danvers just seems like a weird serial killer because they don't have any of those undertones.
Yeah.
She just seems like a fucking madwoman. And you know what? Main character who has no name just needs to tell Max anything that's happening and all of the problems are solved.
That's my fucking problem too, is like she's your servant. She's your subordinate.
Yep.
You run this bitch.
Yep.
You're the woman of the house and Maxim's fucking rich. Be like, hey,
Danvers is being weird. Problem solved.
Maxim and Mrs. DeWinter don't fucking interact ever. And when they do, he's always mad at her.
It's always 5-minute scenes after 25-minute intermittent not being together. And it's always just arguing. Oh, but they're so in love. Oh my God.
Can I talk about that? I want to get into that too. It borrows a lot of the cinematic style of Cavalcade.
Don't say those words.
It feels like the same director of I know it's Hitchcock, one of the best directors of all time.
And not this one.
That's another thing. Let me get into this too. I'm so glad that this man kept directing movies after this so he could prove to the world that he's so much better than Rebecca with, and I'm not exaggerating, some of the greatest movies of all time. This is the weakest Hitchcock that I've seen. It sucks that all of the movies that he's made, this one won Best Picture because everything else I've seen is so great and none of them won Best
I've only
Picture.
seen one other film
Me
by
too.
Hitchcock, but like, I guarantee you this is his worst film.
Has to be. Has to be. There's no way it's not.
Yeah.
100% on Rotten Tomatoes, dude. 92% audience score.
And the twist sucks. Even if the twist was he shot her, the fact that they delivered it he could have killed her. I don't care. He could have killed her and went to jail. Doesn't change anything for me. I think the lead up to it of, oh, something mysterious is going on. Didn't I say, oh, she probably died. It was his fault or some shit. Like,
It's the easiest thing to call.
and predictable and lame. Oh, they all did it. Fuck you, for one.
No, that worked better. in
Yeah,
Murder.
because it's stupid, but it worked better because the movie was good. Like this, it's just, oh, whoa, my wife died and I'm mysterious and don't tell you anything. Yeah, you probably did it then.
I have a serious gripe with this film. After killing Rebecca, Maxim takes her body out on a boat and scuttles it. And he fucking undoes some plugs to make the boat sink, and then he puts a couple holes in the floor. And then the boat sinks and ends up under the water for over a year. And then they recover it. And this guy does like boat autopsy or something, and he's like, clearly the breaks in the hull could have only come from the inside. And I'm like, it's been underwater for a year. How the fuck do you know that?
So it was still swaying under the water because it was close enough to shore where it would sway and hit. And animals, dog.
Water's choppy as shit near the, like, pissed me the hell off when he's like, oh, clearly these holes could have only been made from the inside. And they don't show like what these holes look like so you can like look at them and say for yourself,
I know.
oh yeah, I see that. It's just, he just says it, and I'm like, there's no fucking way a year of being underwater and the boat is in pristine enough condition that you can tell where the holes in the hull came from, because I guarantee you those are not the only holes in the hull.
No.
They don't show the holes of the ship. They don't show anything about Rebecca. They don't show a lot of shit. It's just people talking
It's
about
tell.
shit.
Tell, don't tell. The whole movie. We haven't talked a lot about Laurence Olivier. He's fine. He doesn't wow me in any scene. He doesn't have a big scene. He never has any reason to lose his temper, but he always does. Not to
That's-
that magnitude.
That's supposed to be like a plot point. That's on purpose, but I just
Yeah, I
don't,
know.
It's bad.
I
But
don't
like, if
agree
you
with
have
it.
to drive your plot, if that's like how you're doing it, like, oh well, we could just get through the scene. Oh, but what if he has like really bad anger management that just kind of comes out of nowhere?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm more forgiving on him and her. I think the acting is fine. I also agree though that a lot of those scenes made no fucking sense and don't do those actors justice. And I'm really just down on the writing of the movie.
And you know what the other thing about Laurence Olivier's character is too that I really, really just do not like. Maybe if he took more than 3 weeks before he married someone, he would know their intentions. And
Yeah.
because he's like, oh, I didn't know she was gonna be such a whore. Okay, you married her after like a week.
I feel like almost every movie I watch from like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, the man and the woman meet and then get married by the end
And
of
it's
the
like,
movie.
wow, this is probably what would happen.
Yep.
Because one of you's unhappy.
Literally.
Because you married.
Except there's no self-awareness to it. They
Yep.
they play it off like it's a real good thing, you know?
Yep. And then he marries her, and he's like, oh, we don't have anything, we never spend any time together. Yeah, it's probably because you have nothing in common because you only met 1 week ago, dumbass.
Yep.
I hate movies.
I don't know if this is a compliment to the movie or not, but I love the architecture of the house. I think it looked really pretty.
I was really, really sad. The first note that I made was, aw, black and white, brownie face.
Got him.
That really set the tone.
Well, we got spoiled with Gone with the Wind. You know what I'm
We
saying?
did, yeah, we got spoiled.
Okay, it's in color though.
Yeah, and it's also a well-produced movie, unlike this one.
Oh, I made a note. The woman that Mrs. De Winter is working for at the very beginning of the
bitch.
film, I put down, this bitch talks at 1.5 speed.
Dude, oh my god.
She
part
talks so
It's the
fast.
dialogue issue, where they either talk too fast or too slow or too monotonous, and no one's dialogue is normal.
Like, I mean, she literally talked
She
at
must
like,
have been the one manning the rear projection for the car then.
yeah.
right?
It's the opposite of the drug from Dread where you experience time slower.
Yeah.
Everything's faster for her. Pacing bad romance, Jupiter ascending. These are all the notes I wrote.
Yeah, like, it's just... I really, really wanted one thing to grasp onto. Because you know what? Most of them have at least, like, one little thing. I think we were talking about this in Broadway Melody when we were talking about it towards the end. Where most of these movies have a thing to latch onto.
Something that proves that they were the best picture for the year they
And
came out.
this one...
It's the story, Ian.
No,
Duh.
you know what? This one, the reason it won Best Picture was because The Great Dictator would have pissed off Germany too much. And they didn't want to do that. That's it.
You make
The best point.
the best point.
I think so because
You know the scene from The Great Dictator? The one
Where
that
Charlie
every
Chaplin-
single human being has seen.
Yeah.
Where it's like, holy fucking shit. Oh, I don't want to make Germany angry. All right, then don't hold the fucking award if you're not going to give the best movie the award.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, it kind of undermines.
They pussied out 100%.
It kind of undermines the merit of the Academy Awards.
Yep.
You know,
They 100% pussied out.
so
Yeah.
It had to have been.
Rebecca won one other award
Yeah.
for cinematography.
Yep.
Respectfully, that's not a
That's not one of the powerhouse ones.
that's not something that really puts it in swinging distance of
Yeah.
best picture.
I agree.
It lost every other film, every other award it was nominated for. Hang on, let me bring the list back up.
But if you think about a film like The Great Dictator, like
Best
every
visual
single-
effects, best
Okay.
editing, best art direction, best original score, which it shouldn't have been nominated for.
Agree.
Best screenplay, which it shouldn't have been nominated
Agree.
for. 3 acting nominations. Yeah, no, it got shut the fuck out.
Yep.
It lost to a different film in every category. So I think this was a year where it was kind of like The Great Dictator was definitely supposed to win, but without it, like,
Yeah.
they didn't
Well,
really have
and
anything
the
to
thing
grab
is,
onto.
I don't think the movie is perfect by any means. I'm not going to be like, oh, it should have won because of this, and this. Powerhouse acting performance though, like relevant powerhouse acting performance. The messages and themes are incredible. It's definitely not perfect all the way through.
You're
but,
talking about
like,
The Great Dictator.
Yeah, it's definitely not perfect all the way through. But like, are you fucking kidding me, Rebecca? That one scene in The Great Dictator is better than this whole movie and has more weight than this whole movie.
I wonder if they gave it to it because Selznick won last year.
I don't know. I am not alive in 1940 on the Academy to know why this movie won. And I would love to pick the brain of someone who was.
yeah, I'd love to talk to someone involved. They're all
Because
fucking dead.
It's absolutely.
I'd love to talk to anybody who fucking reviews this film now and gives it a positive score.
There are situations like, for example, My Left Foot did not win Best Picture. I believe something else. I don't know.
Your
what the
right
name
foot
of-
won best picture.
Yeah, exactly. Something else won. But years later, they polled the voting members of the Academy and re-polled them and said, like, hey, you know, with hindsight, what would you pick to win? My Left Foot would have won. So it's definitely like Green Book situations.
Recently, a lot of members of the Academy didn't even watch 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
And it won. Like, even we watch the 8 films that are nominated.
Yep. And you know what? I didn't want to watch Mank. I watched Mank.
Yeah. Also, like, if this wasn't a weekly show, I would probably watch all of the nominees from 19 whatever. You know, for
No.
this show. Yeah, if it
No.
was like a monthly show, I'd totally watch all those fucking.
Even in
1940
a
movies.
month, I don't think I could get through them all. I'd probably watch like a couple that interest me. Like, I do the research. So if it's like one film keeps popping up as winning but didn't win Best Picture, I'd be like, I'm gonna
Check that
I'm
out.
gonna check that one out and
Yeah.
see
Did
what
you
the fuck
check out
happened.
The Informer? that
A
one
Look a
time?
Boom Boom Down? No, I haven't.
No, not that. I was about to make that joke. You beat me to it.
You're welcome.
I was
No,
also
I
about to make that joke,
haven't.
so-
I haven't watched anything else from this show. But
Yeah.
like that's what I mean. Is like if one film like keeps winning, or if like there's a list of films like there's the Best Picture winner, but one of the nominees is a film I've absolutely heard of, I'd probably check it out.
Next week, if none of us had watched Citizen Kane but knew about it, we'd probably watch it before How
I've
Green.
seen Citizen Kane. It
We've all
sucks.
seen Citizen Kane. Got very, very bland.
Well,
Okay, sucks is a strong word from me.
yeah,
It's
I
mid.
would not
It's
use
fine.
the word suck. I think it's.
I think it's
I'd
mid-
be one of those people giving it a 6 out of 10. That's counted as a positive score.
4 or 5. I think if you know the twist before you go in, it's not good. I think this movie did everything wrong. Almost, it's incredible.
There are scenes in this film where it's like this scene should have been up 40 minutes ago to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
This film's got pacing issues through and through. I'm not saying that's the only problem, but I'm saying that's probably the stab wound that is killing it. It is
Yeah.
the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Oh, I think the script is.
I would argue that the movie is so disinteresting that we've spent a lot of the show talking about what happened at the Oscars in 1940. Like,
did.
hey, why did it win? Why didn't this happen? What's
Well,
the merit of this?
Normally, we go, why would this win over other things, or why wouldn't this win?
And
Because
usually a
we-
reason presents itself
Yeah,
throughout the
yeah.
narrative, whether we agree with it or not.
And
Right.
you know what? The reason presented itself. The great dictator would have pissed off Germany, so we didn't do it.
Yeah. Even with Ziegfeld, which we didn't like, it's like, okay, these scenes are technically impressive, and we're still at a point where winning on technical merit makes sense.
Right. And I do agree with that because at the time, those sequences are astounding, you know?
We've talked about that ad nauseum. Nowadays, where pretty much all technical forms of craft have reached their apex, there really isn't a reason to award
I don't know
a
about
purely technical film Best Picture.
Maybe not apex. I think there are still improvements to be made, especially in visual style of some movies, just because people can choose to advance it and then choose to be very lazy and shit, you know?
Yes, but I don't think there's going to be a huge leap that really...
No, nothing like the leap from black and white to color.
No.
You know, there's never
nothing
gonna be
like
something like
the
that.
leap with these amazing practical things where it's like, whoa, I didn't know you could do that, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Or the leap from practical to CGI.
But hey, we may never know. Maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe
Fuck
you
it,
know,
right?
Fuck it, right? Yeah. But I
mean-
don't know. I'm basically out of notes.
I don't think I have much left to say.
I really
we've
don't.
laid out the reasons for why we don't like this
Oh,
film.
I have
There's
one
bad-
left.
What's up?
Only the R in Rebecca has a stroke. Weird design choice. Why didn't the rest of Rebecca have a stroke?
Maybe that's how she died.
Only the first letter of her.
No, I think she fell.
And hit her head and died. What a good... Of all the reasons to... I know you can't write in that he shot her, but of all the reasons that she died, she fell mid-argument and hit her head and died. Like, that's
that
it.
happens a lot in films, and I don't find... Like, I can't say that's not believable because something like that just happened in Florida. But, like,
yes,
even-
it can happen, but
It
like...
can happen, but it's just like... It's so just sudden that you're like, I don't think that was okay.
Well, also, think about it, too. They didn't show it. So, in my head, I'm imagining her going, how dare you? Whoops! Banana peel! Boop! I'm dead. Like, that's...
She cracks her head like perfectly on like a brick, like just a
Yeah.
brick monolith and just 90-degree.
Let's
fucking
argue
neck
next to the
snap.
banana peel laden floor
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
brick
what else is going to
establishment.
be happening at the fucking banana and brick factory, dude?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it is.
And it's just like her body is perfectly flat, and then her head's at a 90-degree angle,
Literally.
and
Like,
just fucking the most clean break.
And then Maxim's like, oh, I better cover this up, even though this very much happened.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, dude, no one was there to witness it. You can say whatever the fuck you
Yeah.
want. We were having crazy, violent sex out behind the palm tree.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I just
which
fucking...
he says in this film.
He
It's
says,
canon.
yeah.
The quote is, and I shall be making violent love to you behind a palm tree.
Oh, he said love, not sex. Therefore, fucking
It's
let
okay.
it through.
Yeah, it's good Hays Code.
You know,
Terrible, terrible.
Swearing, the only reason a movie's rated R.
Yep, and blood.
Indiana Jones, PG.
Yep, very.
It's the reason we have PG-13.
Yes,
Hell
and
yeah.
it's, I was talking about that the other day with a couple people.
It's one of the
and-
best stories in Hollywood.
Yeah, it really do be a good
It's
story.
like, why does PG-13 exist? Well, you see, Indiana Jones was just so fucking baller
Yep.
that they had to.
Indie and Gremlins, I believe, were the two.
Temple of Doom and Gremlins
Yep.
was like a 1-2 punch in 1 year.
Literally.
And it was like, we should probably do something about this.
Because after the Hays Code,
we needed a rating for films,
Yep.
and it started with
Ratings, by the way, infinitely better than the Hays code.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
because it allows content of all
But
kinds.
It was like there were only 3 at first, and
It
then
was-
it went to 4, and then it went back to 5, and then it went back to 4,
Well,
and then it went
no.
to 5 again.
NC-17
No, I was just looking at it.
Oh, okay.
NC-17 doesn't really exist.
It exists, but nobody uses it because you can't
Nobody's
market
putting
it.
porn in theaters.
Yeah, you
It
can't
used to
market
be
it. That's
X-rated
before like Pornhub
porn.
existed, where you
Yeah.
had to go to a theater to find
it's
porn.
God,
something.
imagine going to a theater to watch porn.
Oh, that
Why?
sounds
Why would
awful.
you do that?
That sounds like a great
Because
time.
you know you're gonna be surrounded by people that are also going there to watch
All right,
porn.
hang on. Let's pause this conversation, end the podcast,
All right,
and then
fair.
we can have it again.
Guys, best and worst.
Well, first I'm gonna give it a 1 out of
Oh
10.
my God, 1.
Yep, I would say because of the acting that I still stand more than you guys.
2.
Wow.
What's the 2 comprised of?
I don't know,
All right, good to know.
but 1 seems a little too harsh.
yeah, no, my favorite is still It Happened, and my least favorite is still Cavalcade. I would put that lower than this.
Yep, you and me, Rebecca. This is the worst one we've watched.
Oh, okay.
Wow, no.
Got a new one.
All Quiet Cavalcade.
We're getting to the point where we're almost all different, but Mud and I still have Cavalcade as the least, so we're
Yeah.
close. We're
We'll
close.
see what
Very,
happens.
very close.
What are we watching next week, Jake?
Well, I'll tell you, next week is the 14th Best Picture winner ever. It's gonna be How Green Was My Valley.
The greatest film ever made.
Here she's learning to fly. This is the next 2 minutes is her learning how to fly like Superman. And then later, she Spider-Man swings on the lightning. Why? You can
It's
fly.
cool, rule cool,
You
baby.
can still fly though.
Her learning it is her keeping a part of him forever,
Yep.
and that's really nice.
Yes.
That
but
being said, no.
she's been alive for 2,000 years. Like she never learned this prior.
She never thought about it.
She never thought about it.
She grabs nothing.
What?
She gotta get her pose down.
Yep. Yep. Karate
Fingers
hands.
out? No. How about I fly like Krillin?
No, let's flip upside down like
What
Superman.
about backstroke from swimming?
I fly backstroke.
Michael Phelps.